Yeah. Fly, Eagles fly, Eagles on the team. Touchdown, touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here cool on Philly, the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randolph. Season here, early time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.
What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. Today we have a very special guest, as you can tell. I got my man Dave Spadaro back on the channel. Dave, how you been, man? It's been too long.
It's been a while. You've got a new open there, Joe. You're looking dapper and fly, or whatever the kids are saying these days. I like the rap. I like the whole thing. I like the intro. It's good energy, man. So I like good energy.
I appreciate that. Well, I got Dave Spadaro calling me fly. What a Friday the 13th.
I'm not sure what that's worth, really. I don't know what that's worth. But if you like it, bro, that's cool with me.
Hey, if I like it, you love it, right? That's how it's got to go. But let's hop right into it, man. It's been a crazy week, right? And a lot of things have happened for the Philadelphia Eagles and NFL fans alike. But before we talk too specific, I just want to ask you, I know, outside of all this Eagle stuff, you are a football fan at heart. This was a wild NFL draft. I just want to get your opinion on how it went. How did you feel? How crazy was it for you?
So I went to Vegas on Wednesday night before the draft. Spent Wednesday night there, had a good time. The interesting part of it was, like, in Philly, where the draft took the entire Benjamin Franklin Parkway. In Vegas, it was like hard to find. Like, until Thursday, there wasn't really much of an indication that there was a draft there, because there's so much craziness in Vegas anyway. And then Thursday, 100,000 people jammed into the one area that they had, the theater. Very cool setup. Loved the way it went for me. The Eagles drafted Jordan Davis. Got a chance to talk to him backstage just minutes after he got selected. And then the team traded for A.J. Brown. Then press conferences with Howie and Nick. And then I took off. I took a red eye back to Philly because everything else was happening back at NovaCare. So got back to Philadelphia Friday morning, worked till – so the NFL draft, I know it's very exciting for fans. It's great, and it is very exciting. But it's also a lot of time down. So the joke here at NovaCare is that there's so much food here. Everybody just kind of stays away from the food. We worked until, like 1:30 in the morning on Friday, got back in around 9:30 on Saturday, worked until – about 10:30 on Saturday night, and then the draft was over. So it was a great weekend for the Eagles. I thought the Eagles, look, everybody always asks, well, what are the Eagles going to do? What are the Eagles going to do? And once again, really never anticipated the A.J. Brown trade. Yeah. Jordan Davis clearly was something that was anticipated, but to trade up to get him was a nice move. Only 5 draft picks, 6 players acquired. Good UDA, rookie free agent draft or signing period, I think, for the Eagles. So all in all, like, the Eagles internally right here at NovaCare, everybody here is really happy. And now we just find out how quickly these young guys can come along.
Yeah, it was a wild weekend, and hearing all the work that you guys do, I almost take it take it for granted. Like, we don't realize how much really does go on in the back scenes. But like you said, you were able to be there while the AJ Brown trade happened and everything. Obviously, Eagles fans everywhere went crazy. I'm sure it's no different from what you guys saw in the building. What was just your initial reaction to that, and what do you think AJ Brown brings to this team?
It was really impressive the way that the Eagles only had to give up the 18th pick and the 101st pick, and then signed him to a contract extension that keeps him through this year and then 4 more seasons. So instead of a young player at that position, which we all agree you can always get better at wide receiver, a young player that you don't really know if he's going to make it, the Eagles get an established star in the NFL, a Pro Bowl player who is physical, violent, will run every route. Isn't the speed burner, but he kind of plays off of what Devontae Smith does. And honestly, Joe, like, I thought about this, and I talked to everybody, Merrill and, Mike and everybody, people who've been around the team for a while. The best tandem at wide receiver. Okay, you could say Macklin and Deshaun Jackson. That's fair. I would put this twosome ahead of that twosome on talent. So then I got to go all the way back to, like, well, T.O. never really had that sidekick. then who do I go back to? I got to go back to Quick and Carmichael. So I think that AJ Brown is a perfect fit. I think this offense is in really, really good shape. And I love the fact that they got a young veteran, still very much in the prime of his career, signed to a long-term deal, who should be able to step right in and be productive.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the deal. Like I said, I know a lot of Eagles fans love the deal. We were all looking at a wide receiver, kind of mock drafting a wide receiver. I think this was probably even better than any wide receiver you could have gotten in the first round. So kudos to Howie. Definitely was amazing. Now, I do want to talk about, because you look at the first two picks and the first two picks, the actual draft picks, some guys say, oh, well, there's a guy there. But I want to talk about that because mentorship, I don't think, is something that a lot of NFL teams, you're starting to see a little bit of trickling out, but I don't think every NFL player wants to be that mentor. And we're blessed, in my opinion, with two guys that are future Hall of Famers that are willing to be those mentors. How big of an advantage do you think that is for a guy like Jordan Davis, for a guy like Cam Jurgens, having guys ready to just, help them out however they can?
Yeah, I think it's big. And I'm not, the idea of mentor is, let's, Ryan Tannehill obviously didn't kind of bristled at that word. I think instead of mentor, they are great role models, and they are veterans who will help bring those young guys along. At the same time, Fletcher Cox doesn't want to lose any playing time.
Definitely.
Jason Kelce doesn't want to lose any playing time. But for Jordan Davis to be in a situation where he doesn't have to step right in and be the star, he will be a very key part of a rotation. I think that's great for his development. It'll keep him hungry. He'll learn from the best. All that group, Milton Williams included, really, really good group of defensive tackles. And, Cam Jurgens, I was in the room when he was selected in the draft room. The Eagles were pumped up. I spent some time with Stoutland afterward, and Roy Istvan, the assistant line coach, and they were talking about Jurgens to me, and he's extremely highly rated and a great prospect. And when he came in, built just so solid, very developed, intelligent, charismatic, cerebral. This is going to be a fun group. And I think what everybody really needs to understand here is that the Eagles are really committed to the line of scrimmage. And dating back to the early Andy Reid days, this is how you build a football team that sustains success. If you win at the line of scrimmage, you're going to have a chance to have really sustained success. So by taking Davis, by taking Jurgens, you've ensured kind of a line of succession at those positions. And I think that's really important. Instead of going into a situation next year, look, Jason Kelce may say, I want to play 3 more years. Great. And if he's playing at a high level, that's great. But Jurgens is here to play, to win, to get on the field however he can, just like Landon Dickerson last year. And so is Jordan Davis. It's not a redshirt season for those players. So I think it also creates a great sense of competition.
Definitely. And I mean, Cam Jurgens bringing his own beef jerky probably never hurts the case, right? It's not a bad thing.
He is, Joe. He is. I know fans weren't like super jazzed about that pick. Like, who gets excited about a center in the second round? He is a very, very highly rated prospect. So, if you believe that the offensive line is where it's at, and you want to look 2 or 3 years down the line, and you see Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, and Cam Jurgens in place already, Jack Driscoll, whomever, you got to feel pretty good about the Eagles now and in the future along the offensive line.
Definitely. And then hearing, Jason Kelce back in the pick obviously helps Eagle fans kind of calm themselves a little bit. But I do like the pick. I think that it was a need, like you said, even if it's not right now, it's something that you're definitely going to need down the line. If you love the guy, awesome pick. Now, the offseason, you kind of, said it a little bit earlier. The offseason is a little bit like walking through a toy store as a kid, right? Like you see everything. You're like, oh, I want that. But you forget the toys you have at home. Now, the Eagles fans were looking for, we wanted a wide receiver. We wanted this. We wanted that. But is there anybody on this roster or any, couple of guys on this roster that you feel are kind of being forgotten that you're like, hey, this guy is ready to take that next step for the Philadelphia Eagles?
I don't know. I mean, I probably look at Zach McPherson at cornerback and Marcus Epps at safety. And, I'm excited to see actually Zach Pascal. I think that Jack Stoll at tight end is a much better player than we kind of gave him credit for. I really want to see Kenny Gainwell. You just look at last year's draft class and some of the kids in the year before, and you hope that they can take that next step. That's kind of the way it works. I mean, TJ Edwards really blossomed last year. I think he's a really good starter in whatever configuration the Eagles come up with their defensive front, whether it's a 3-man front, a 4-man front, whether it's a mix, whether he's an inside back or a middle linebacker, however it works out. I think TJ is an underrated piece to this Eagles defense. So, I think that it was fair after, let's say, like 2020 season, bad season, right? New head coach. Where is the young talent on this team? I think the Eagles have done a nice job the last 2 drafts of really replenishing that young talent and also bringing in some blue chip talent. And that's what the Eagles need. A.J. Brown is a blue chip talent, no question about it. Devontae Smith is a blue chip talent, no question about it.
Definitely. Yeah, I think everybody's excited to see that. And Quez Watkins, too. I think Quez Watkins is a guy a lot of people,
Yep.
I had his trainer on not too long ago, and he's just one guy I really think is going to break out this year. So I'm excited to see. Now, last year when I asked you, what the vibe was in the building, going through practices and everything, there was a lot of learning. There was a lot of, teaching from this coaching staff, obviously new coaching staff. So kind of learning themselves on the job. But my question to you is, do you think this year the ante's a little bit up? Do you think that the intensity is going to be kicked into a little bit more now, this being their second year, kind of having another off season with these guys? Do you think they're going to kind of push a little bit this year?
I don't know, Joe. I think that if you say that the intensity is higher this year, then you're suggesting that the intensity wasn't high enough last year,
True.
and that you can have different levels of intensity. And I think in the NFL, if you don't bring that A game every day, there's going to be a bunch of people there to take your job, no matter what your job is. So I don't think that one season is necessarily different than another season. I mean, everybody's really excited to be here. Everybody's excited to be in the NFL. We all recognize that the team reached the postseason last year and then got to Tampa Bay and found out that the Eagles are still a ways away and there's a lot of work to be done. And I think that was the kind of the purpose of the offseason, was to be really judicious in what you do, bring in a blue chip talent like Hassan Reddick, try to get somebody like A.J. Brown, things like that were really important. So I just feel like right now it's a much more casual football environment. Really good turnout for the offseason program, but they're not on the field. They're not hitting. They're not going through the reps. And in a matter of 3 weeks, I think 3 weeks, they're going to be 3.5, 4 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. I guess it's 4 weeks. They're going to be out of here. And that's a couple of weeks earlier than normal. And then we get into training camp. But training camp is really, really where the intensity ratchets up. But I do think that there's the difference this year is that, Nick Sirianni showed this football team something, and that he could take a team that started the year 2-7 and keep a level head and keep everybody engaged and pilot a turnaround that landed the Eagles in the playoffs. And I don't care how the Eagles got there. I don't care who they beat down the stretch. I don't care who the quarterbacks were on the other team. The Eagles won down the stretch, reached the playoffs, and that is a great signal to this Eagles roster, to the veterans who were like, hey, who is this guy, this new head coach? What are we doing with the paper, rock, scissors? What are we doing with the Papa shot? What is this connect? What are we planting seeds for? Well, they all found out that method can be really successful.
Yeah, has he gotten you to shoot any free throws yet? Has he gotten you?
Well, I'm pushing for a little game of horse on camera. That's my goal, because I do go down to the auditorium and shoot hoops every now and again, just to kind of keep myself sharp. So
that's what
I'm
I
hopeful
see.
for it. Yeah, I'm hopeful for it.
That's what the Eagles fans want to see. That's what
right.
the Eagles fans want to see.
I think so. And by the way, if he ever accepts it, I'm going to bust his ass. All right. All right. I'm not letting the coach win. He's going to have to earn it.
So let me ask you a question. This is kind of unrelated to the Eagles, but now you got my mind wandering. If you were to play basketball for, organized, what position would you run?
Well, I played in high school for my freshman year, and then I broke my foot. But believe me, not particularly talented. But then I played in adult leagues all the way until I was like 44. So I was like a guard. And then all my guys stopped showing up. My strategy, Joe, was to surround myself with really good players. And we actually went out and won championships. And I was like, where I was really good was in the post game celebration, if you will.
Yeah,
that was kind of my expertise, and like organizing it and all that. So it was a blast. Basketball, from just playing the sport, is my first love. I love to play the game of basketball. Gave it up to play tennis, and haven't looked back. But for years, we used to have this media run half court at the Palestra. every Wednesday. It was awesome.
Oh,
Headed
man, we
by
got
the
to bring
late
that
great,
back.
late great Hall of Famer Jackie Shore from the Associated Press. Used to have a group of media guys in the Palestra, and we used to ball, and it was awesome. So that is my game. I'm a hustler and a little bit of a crazy man, but I certainly have a lot of fun doing it.
So you're the veteran that's going out there finding the team that will get you to. You're LeBron.
We were
You're
all the
LeBron,
same,
right? You know?
right? I was putting together the dream team,
Exactly.
and right.
Exactly.
So and
That's probably more important.
my strength was the social game afterward.
I love it. I love it. I do got a couple more questions for you, and then I
Sure.
will get you out of here that day. But one thing that Eagles fans are looking for, and they finally got, was the NFL schedule release. I feel like they made it a huge event this year. I never remember it being so drawn out. But either way, that's neither here nor there. A lot of good games, a lot of good storylines. Is there any dates that you're looking at, even if it's not the Eagles, that you're saying this is going to be a crazy matchup for you?
Well, I only look at the Eagles, so every one of them I love. I think it's a great start to the season in Detroit. I
Yeah.
love the fact that there's 5 primetime games. There's another national game against Dallas on Christmas Eve. Finishing up the season with 2 home games, I think, is really strong. And I think the Eagles have a chance to get off to a good start against. Look, the Eagles get Detroit without Jameson Williams, right? So that's cool. Get Pittsburgh early in the season if they're starting a rookie quarterback. Those kinds of things are. This is when you talk about the stakes being raised, Joe, I think from an outside perspective, there's going to be higher expectations on this team after making the playoffs. I think that's fine. I think the Eagles have always had high expectations internally, but I'm sure that people out there are like, all right, you guys won 9 games last year. Let's see what you got this year. You got A.J. Brown. Let's see. You got an offensive line that's great. You got the quarterback who's shown us that he can win. The defense has gotten a lot better on paper. So let's go out and do it. The Eagles aren't going to sneak up on anybody this year. And in the NFC East has not had a repeat winner since 2003, 2004, when the Eagles did it. So I know everybody out there is loving on the Cowboys. Beware. They're not going to repeat if history means anything.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Now, one thing I do want to ask is, you've been around the team a long time, and a lot of something that I hear a lot. I have a lot of different age ranges of fans, right? And something that I see a lot now lately is this is like a totally different Eagles team. This is totally. Do you feel that way, or do you feel like you've seen this kind of off season? Because I don't think that we've done anything crazy outside of the box. But how do you see this offseason? Do you think it's just business as usual?
Yeah, I think it's been I think there's a lot of continuity.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the offense comes back basically the same as last year, right? But you had A.J. Brown. But the offensive line's coming back the same. Isaac Seumalo is healthy. Your running backs are largely the same. You got the same 3 guys. You don't have Jordan Howard at the moment. We don't know if the Eagles are going to add to that position or not. But you've got the same 3. You got the same Dallas Goedert, Jack Stoll, who ended the season. The defensive line, you get BG back, Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett. The fact that they were able to bring back Barnett and Anthony Harris and Boston Scott and Greg Ward, etc., kind of signifies some stability to me. And in fact, I remember talking to Nick at the NFL's annual meeting about roster stability. So I would disagree that there's been significantly there's been changes in the sense of impact players, but they haven't dramatically changed the makeup of the roster.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I agree. So now we're waiting for the basketball game. We're waiting for the annual basketball game to come back for you guys. But what else is on the horizon for you and your team? What can Eagles fans be waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, everything's just kind of pointing now toward training camp and engaging the public and trying to have it as normal as possible. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And it's for us, Joe. The big thing is everybody's back in the NovaCare complex. We're all operating, on an everyday cycle that we hadn't enjoyed for the last 2 years. So there are a lot of coaches, for example, that I didn't really get to know during COVID, and players that I don't know from. I was only able to do virtual interviews. So now being able to do that, it just kind of brings everybody together and makes it more fun. And I think everybody, look, unfortunately in Philly, the Sixers season is over. And the Phillies are, kind of hopefully they turn it around. But right now they're struggling a bit. I think everybody's kind of going, geez, it's the middle of May. I can't wait till the end of July. Can that get here faster, faster, faster? That's when training camp starts. And I just think it's going to be a great Eagles season ahead for us, Joe. And I really feel like the Eagles are heading in the right direction. I think they're still building. I think they're still keeping their eyes open. We all recognize that this roster is not complete. But I feel very good about where the Eagles are right now. And also knowing that they've got 2 number 1 draft picks next year, 2 second-round picks the year after that. They have a lot of opportunities to get better and to be really, really good for many years to come.
They definitely do. They definitely do. I'm excited for this year, and I think that you said it perfectly. I think a lot of Philadelphia fans are just kind of waiting for the Eagles to save their sports life right now, because it has just been a whirlwind of emotions. But Dave, man, I'm gonna get you out of here. I appreciate you so much, man. It's always a blast having you on. We'll get you closer to the season, so we got a little bit more in depth. But anything you want to say before I do get you out of here?
Hey, man, if you get a chance to follow me on Instagram at The Eagles Insider, I do a good job there. Twitter, Eagles Insider, and make sure you visit us on PhiladelphiaEagles.com. I also do the Eagles Insider podcast and the Eagles Update podcast, because we all need our Eagles fix. And, that's what my job is, to feed Eagles fans. And, I love it. And here we are in year number 25 with the Philadelphia Eagles organization.
Yes, sir. Dave, we're blessed to have you as our chef.
I appreciate
feeding us
that, man.
very well. Keeping us fat. I love it.
Thanks,
but I
Joe.
appreciate everybody tuned in, man. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out of here. Peace.
B Scott with the Philadelphia
John
Eagles.
Dornbos here at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, we're just the Philadelphia Eagles.
Follow my guy Joe Castro on his YouTube/podcast channel.
Let's give a shout out to the Philly podcast.
And shout out Philly and my guy Joe Castro. So keep on doing great things, guys. Fly Eagles Fly.
Fly Eagles Fly.
Go Birds.